Welcome everyone to the video podcast series, Lifestyle by Design, Not Default. I'm your host, Margaret Wiltshire, and my very special guest tonight is KC Towns. KC, welcome.
Thank you so much. I feel welcome. My first time on your podcast, and I feel very, very much at ease. So thanks for having me.
Well, I am honored that you're here, spending your time with me tonight, Thursday. Live, and the talk for tonight is a life of dedication, a life dedicated to empowering the masses, how this underdog won and why he continues to fight. So I welcome you and I thank you for your time, KC. So KC, how is the weather over there in San Antonio?
Well, we've had quite a bit of rain. We've got impending storms and thunderstorms coming in this evening. I've got a trip to Houston I'm going to make, but I believe that we'll be okay. So we're really blessed. We get a lot of great weather. When other people last winter had minus 40 and minus 20 and snow every day, in all honesty, it was 40 degrees here. So we should never complain in San Antonio about weather.
Okay. All right. Well, yes, that is good weather to have. You generally have it good year round. So, KC, I want to ask you about your life in network marketing. We'll start there with your story. Can you tell me about your life? What led you to network marketing?
You know, it was a strange chain of events, really. I was renting a home. I was stationed up in Anchorage, Alaska. I was in the Air Force. I was stationed up in Anchorage, Alaska back in 1987. And I had a home. I knew I wasn't going to stay. So I rented a home. I had a beautiful home that I rented and I had a great, great landlord. But the landlord changed. And as good as my first landlord was, I got a brand new landlord who came in who was even better. And I'll never forget it. They were Dave and Susie. And Dave and Susie came to me one day and talked to me about going to this meeting and meeting these people. And have you ever thought about having your own business? Of course, I was in the military. I was overworked, underpaid, looking for an opportunity. And I said, you know what? I dream about freedom every day. So he said, I'm going to take you to this meeting. And we went to a meeting and I saw all these people who I didn't think were any better than me, but were making 15, 20 times the amount of money I was making, spare and part-time from home. So right away, it piqued my interest. And the other thing I saw was a lot of teamwork, a lot of rah-rah, a lot of camaraderie. The industry back in the 80s was a lot of teamwork makes the dream work and camaraderie. It's different than today where we have a lot of, the networking and the social media. Then it was more hand-on. So took me in, I shook some hands, met some great people, and everybody said, you know what, you can do this. And, them saying I could do it made me believe I could. So I signed up and didn't earn any money, but I hung around the industry because I liked the culture. And I started to learn what very few people in the military at that time knew, and that was that freedom may not be free, but it is attainable if you're in position and if you're positioned to get it with the right opportunity. So I started working the business spare time and bounced around a little bit, but that was my start. That's how I got started. It was very innocent. I wasn't looking for the industry. It was like the industry came and found me, and I'm glad it did.
Okay. How long have you been in the network marketing industry?
That was 1987. I can honestly say I got started in 87, but I really got launched in 97. I bounced around and I really didn't know much. And, I'm in, I'm out, I'm up, I'm down. I may do it, I may not do it. I'm gone for a year, back for 6 months. And it was that kind of thing. But in 1996, I joined and enrolled with a telecommunications company. And I really, really saw it. I really saw it. And I saw some incredible people that really were doing some incredible thing. And that was the first time I was really exposed to a personal mentor who said, you know what, big guy, you can do this if you really dedicate yourself to doing it. And I was pretty hard-headed at the time. So, of course, being military, I'd seen successful military stories, and I thought I'd seen it all. And then I started to see people that had only been involved with the industry for a year and a half that were making more than a 4-star general after 25. So I started to realize dedication was real. I had to dedicate myself, and I had to continue to be around people that had the things I wanted. So I really launched in 96 and 97.
Okay. So can you tell me, when you started, you mentioned that, you know, you were off and on. Can you tell me that about that defining moment when you possibly saw something, like you said, incredible, and you said to yourself, I'm going to stick with this? Can you tell me about that moment?
There's a couple of moments, and all are equally as important. The first thing that happened was when I started to meet people that had time freedom. Time, when you're in the military, time is a commodity you don't govern, you don't control, and you really are at the beck and call of other people. So my time freedom was not much in the military. And I saw people that were talking about attending their kids' recitals, going to football games, baseball games, taking their families on dream vacations that I would never even thought of going on. You know, you say Bahamas, I say, but what? You know, and it went on and on. So, and even folks were talking about skiing at Vail, and I got a room full of these people, and they're all doing this thing, this freedom thing. So I have 5 children, I have 5 beautiful children, and I'm very much fortunate. So I realized early that, you know what, I could be that guy who is able to have more, do more, be more, and reach back and help the people that care about me if I can get this time freedom thing. That was the first thing that happened. I was in a room at what we call a Super Saturday event, people telling their story, and they were talking about these vacations, and that really clicked me in terms of where they're getting this time, because I didn't have it. The second thing was I saw some people who had a disabling condition, and I saw them doing it. It didn't matter if they had, if they were wheelchair bound. It didn't matter if they were blind. It didn't matter if it was a little 19-year-old boy. Well, not little, but he was small because he was in a wheelchair and he hadn't grown. His body hadn't fully formed. But here's this young guy in a wheelchair, 19 years old, and to the best of his faculty saying, you know, we can do it. And I was like blown away. And I'm saying, you know what, if they can do it, it takes away all the excuses. And this is in 1996. Although I'd seen some of that back in 87, 88, 89 in my first company. But in 96, it started to stick. And I was like, you know what, they got freedom. Anybody can do this. What is my excuse? You know, and the last thing that happened was I was kind of hard-headed in the beginning. And I took a guest to a gathering, what we used to call meetings. You know, now they're parties, gatherings, they're everything now, okay? But I took a guest to a gathering, and there I am, and my sponsor always told me, KC, if you get a guest here tonight, sit in the front. And I was a great enroller. I was a great sorter. I could sort through the masses and get people involved and interested and get them to the meeting. I always had folks going. So my sponsor kept telling me, look, you know, and she was a little Italian lady, I remember like it was yesterday, little Italian lady, real thin, probably about 98 pounds soaking wet. She was already retired from the military. And she used to call me kiddo. And she said, kiddo, get your guest up front. And I kept saying, you know, yeah, I was this New York cool guy that was living in Texas at the time. My background, I'm from New York. And of course, you know, I didn't want to hear what she had to say because I knew everything but didn't know anything. So one night I had an A-list guest. I mean, Margaret, one that we die for. And there I am in the back where all the cool broke people are. I'm in the cool broke section because I'm cool. And I'm back there and I'm just being cool and I'm talking during the presentation. I see you rolling your eyes already. I'm back there, I'm talking during the presentation, and I see her give me this look. And it's that look your mom would give you. So I'm like, oh man, she's really serious. Her name was Barb. So I'm like, wow, I was really serious. So I'm cutting through a lot. The end of the meeting, she comes flying up to me. This really happens in front of everybody. Whoom! And she said, is your guest interested? I mean, in front of everybody, which we don't do, but she was just fed up with me, and for rightfully so. And I said, well, I'm not sure. She said, well, you would be great at what we do if you would ever just get the heck out of your own way. And I was getting ready to say something, and she just walked away and left me. So it was like, I was just babbling, and my guest is standing there. Not everybody could hear, but my guest could hear, and my immediate sponsor heard. And they're looking at me, and I never felt that small in my life. And I knew right then, if I was ever going to have this thing that people said I could have, I had to change. The change had to start with these 6.5. Well, I got a big head. These 8 inches here. Okay. The road to success is about 6.5 inches wide, and we know it between your ears. So I had to get it. And I've been into trainings, and I said, you know what? I'm going to have to internalize it. So those 3 things kicked in almost one meeting after another meeting after another meeting. So it just kicked me, and finally I said, I'm in. I'm all in. I'm selling out. I'm in. Let's go. And that's what really happened. That was the big thing for me.
Okay. So that was your defining moment. Can you hear the echo?
No, I'm good. I don't hear any echo. I'm good. I hear you.
Okay. Just having a little audio difficulty on my part. So that was your defining, those 2 moments were your defining moment.
Right.
Can you tell me about your biggest challenge where you probably were faced with, you know what, maybe this isn't for me? Some doubt came in.
I've had, and any leader in any industry, if you don't have challenges repetitively, you're not doing anything. You know, we always say the bigger the level, the bigger the devil. The bigger the level, the bigger the devil. The more you go up, the bigger the problems get. You know, Biggie Smalls said it best: more money, more problems. So the reward is the money. One of the many rewards is the income, but along with the reward comes responsibility, which is the biggest R. So I've had so many challenges in my career, and I don't want to say in being in the industry. I've had a career. I've been really fortunate. I've had so many challenges, but some of the ones I think that were the biggest was when I saw someone who had the thing. They had the intangible thing, and it just wasn't their time. No matter what I said, it wasn't their time to shine. It wasn't their time to take the information, internalize it, sell out to what they were going to do, and say, you know what, no matter who gets in my way, I'm running over them. I'm running through them. I am the brick wall. There is no brick wall. I go over it, I go through it, but I'm getting it done. And I saw people with more talent in their pinky than I had in my whole body. I saw incredible people that could have done 20, 30, 50 times more than one of the most successful, 2 to 3 of the most successful people I've ever met. And they would squander it. I'm fortunate because I almost squandered it too. But it took that series of events, the freedom, seeing everybody do it, and then getting put on blast by my mentor to wake me up. Everything I tried with a couple of these folks, even getting out the way and letting some of the people that mentored me and turning them over to them, everything I tried didn't work with a couple of them. And unfortunately, out of the 4 or 5 people I'm thinking about, there's only one that's had any success in anything they've done. Everyone else is still complaining and still saying, if I could ever find a company, and I'm like, you had 3 of them, and you've got more talent than anybody that's in those 3 companies. You just have to be coachable, able to be coached. Coachable is 2 words put together because both sides of you have to buy in. The left and the right got to buy in. It's got to be total buy-in. So you got to be able to be coached in order to take that next step. And they weren't. And that probably, I take that to bed every night, because if somebody doesn't succeed and I'm their mentor, I'm their success coach, I wear that. I wear that on my sleeve every day.
Okay. So my next question is actually going to be, what out of that experience, what happens to you? So what do you said you take it to bed with you, but what does it make you do? Like, how does that affect your character or your drive, or how does it make you work harder? What does it do to you?
Man, I get in the lab when that happens. I call my office is my lab. I call it my lab. I get in the lab and I go to work. I produce, I work on audios, videos. I read I've got so many. I've got my wall up here, and somebody gave me this plaque. You have all these plaques. I got 2 of them that I really kept and keep up. I've got many, sayings, but I got 2 plaques. And one says, never get so busy making a living that you forget to make a life. I live by that. I don't want to forget that life precedes making a living. I've forgotten that on occasion. And when folks don't make it, it snaps me back into the reality that I got to stay on my path. I got to continue to help people. Don't get so caught up, because when people don't make it, of course, you make more money. And that's what happens in the industry. When people don't make it, their overrides go to you. So you make more money. So don't get so caught up on the money you make when someone doesn't make it, because if they don't make it, it's a reflection of their leadership. In the movie, remember the Titans. When those young men were fighting on that field, you had the black players from the black side of town, you had the white players from the white side of town, and they forged an alliance, but it was hard. And I'll never forget, there was a point in that movie where there was one of the kids, the best kid on the team, Gary Bertier, who was the white linebacker, turned to his friend, and he said, you could be better. You're dogging it. You're not doing anything. Your attitude is horrible. And that kid said, in that movie, something came to me. Sometimes I get my learning and the times I'm not looking for it. And in that movie, that young man turned to Gary Bertier and said, oh yeah, well, attitude reflects leadership. And you could see the look on Gary Bertier's face was like, it's really about me. So you can't get so caught up making the living, because when people don't make it, you make more money, but don't get caught up on that. You got to make sure that life is good for you and them. You see what I'm saying? You see where I'm going with that? The other thing I have on my wall is, it's kind of comical. Nobody notices what I do until I don't do it. So what that means is that nobody notices what I do when everything's going well, but when things don't go well, leadership. When things don't go well for the people who I know have more talent in their pinky than I've got in my whole body, when it doesn't go well, nobody notices when it goes well for those people, because everybody figures it's going to go well. But when it doesn't, where do they look? Well, I wonder who he was mentoring under. I wonder what he was taught. She was a surefire hit. What happened to her? I wonder what book she was reading. I wonder what a sponsor get. It goes upline. And so now the spotlight's on the person who's supposed to be mentoring, reaching back, giving more, so that person can have more, and the success legacy can continue. That's why I talk about forging your legend. That's why I talk about forging your legend. Creating your success story and creating your legend. Because what do legends do? Legends are legendary to who? Other people who follow in their footsteps. So nobody notices what I do till when I'm helping you, it doesn't work. Then you notice that what you didn't work, which means that I can't get so busy getting caught up in, now I got those overrides, I'm making more money because it didn't work for Margaret. No, I got to get focused on life for me and you so I can be better next time.
Okay. Lots of jewels in that. Tell me about what it was like when you hit that 7-figure mark.
It's I don't want to use the word funny, because it's such a feeling of accomplishment when the company calls you and say you're going to be honored as a millionaire income earner. It's like, what? Because you're so busy doing the thing. You're doing the thing to get the power. You're out helping people so they can have success. You don't get caught up in, if I make another $25, I never had time for that. Because money is a byproduct of doing good things. So it felt incredible. I'm not going to kid you, because, and I'll tell this story. When I left the military, and very few people know this, I left on a bad note. It's a true story. I left my last job, I was fired. Hardly anybody. I was at a senior position and I was let go. And I was let go 6 months before retirement. And it was done purposely, but I don't want to get into that, because the creator puts you where you're supposed to be so you can learn the lessons so you can go to the next level. So, I was angry, I was bitter for a while, but it taught me an incredible lesson. It really did. It taught me some lessons when I was, let go just as I'm getting ready to retire. So it created a situation where I had to take a position that was like I was at this level, but I had to work a position at this level, and it was almost humiliating. So I'm so deep in my story. Ask me the question again. I want to make sure I don't go left.
It's okay. What was it like for you when you started earning 7 figures?
Okay, I'm not going left. I'm spot on. Okay, so here's the thing. I was so determined to show the world that no, you won't. No, you will not. Because when I retired, when you go to your transition briefings, everybody's pretty much transitioning and talking about getting great jobs, great government jobs and other jobs and just good jobs, And they asked me, Casey, what you gonna do? I said, I'm gonna retire. And it was kind of a little laughter from my peers. I was like, and now I've already been let go. Think about me. I've been let go, so I'm already hurt. So which means that, I'm setting you up so you can't make it at the next level because your resume now doesn't look so good when you leave. And now I'm in this transition briefing, but everybody's got these great jobs and they set themselves up for these positions, and I didn't. And I said, I'm going to retire. And now, it's kind of like, you're going to retire? Come on, man, what you going to do? I'm like, I'm going to retire. I've got a business. I'm going to work the business full time. And the looks on the people's face fueled my passion. It made me say, you know what? No, you will not tell me I can't. Inside, there was a flame that burned in me that never burned before. I was so focused to show the world and show myself that I can do anything. If somebody shows me how to properly do what I need to do, I can do it and I can succeed and I can be good at it. And I'm going to finally show people that say you have potential, that I'm no longer potential. I'm here. I'm ready. I'm going to arrive now. So I took that flame that was burning, and I took that desire, and I took the sting of being had to step down and work a position that was 3 levels below mine. And I took, I felt it was almost dehumanizing when I left, but it was really what the Creator wanted me to have to inspire me to see my way through all of the storms to get it done. So I did. So when I got it done, I felt kind of like I knew it. It was like that, oh, yeah, I knew I could do this. So it was very gratifying, but not for the reasons it is for most people.
Can you tell me about your process? You spoke a little bit about it, but if you can tell me just like a general overview of how you made it there.
Okay, now you broke up a little bit, just a little bit. So the first part of that question I didn't hear. Can I tell you a little bit about my
process to get to the top?
System. It was all system driven. I have been so fortunate. Margaret, if I was to tell you, hey, it's all about my brilliance, and that'd be such a lie. I have been so fortunate to sit at the feet of some brilliant, incredibly smart, incredibly savvy time merchants. In other words, they knew how to take a system, teach us who mentored under them how to take that system, utilize it, and then make it work. As a matter of fact, much of what I've done in my trainings, from Mindset to Success, which is an audio series I have, to Ready, Set, Network, and the training we're working on now that's getting ready to come out. I'm working with some incredible leaders. Much of the trainings that I have, that I do, are so systemically grounded, but so simple that anybody can do it. It's not easy because you got to do it, but it's simple. It's simple in makeup, composition. It's a simple system. You don't have to understand geometry. You don't have to be able to take 15 widgets and divide them by 4. None of that stuff, none of that hocus pocus magic stuff. It's just systemic growth. And the greatest thing is anybody can do it, whether you're an internet network marketer, which is a social media network marketer, or if you're a traditional belly button to belly button, meet people and talk to them. So it's all system driven.
Okay. So Casey, tell me about some of the fears that you had to let go of. What did you have to let go of to step into your legacy?
The number one fear is the one that everybody has. Okay. I had to get rid of the fear of failure. I think more people come in this industry, Margaret, and it's not just networking. I think network marketing or MLM or you know, any label you want to put on network marketing. It's networking, which is people working, which is meeting people and leveraging relationships. And we do it in everything we do. But people are afraid to fail, which is why they don't take that step. They get right to the ledge. You know, most people are one exposure away from an explosion. But it's that fear of that next no. The no's, you know, we used to do a training. We talk to folks and say, the no's should energize you because you're one no closer to a yes. But the no's create continued fear. And they actually multiply fear. Because if you're not sure, that's why I say, Coach Abel, you got to have both sides buy in. If both sides don't buy in, if you're not selling out to the dream that you can do this, I'm doing it now. I'm tired of people telling me I can't do it. If you don't buy into the dream, that no can crush you. I've seen people quit after the first no and spent $2,500 to invest in a company and quit after the first no. Oh, you didn't tell me that, you know, I really didn't like talking to people anyway. I'm like, you have $2,500 invested. Oh, that's okay. And it's incredible. So I had to get rid of the fear of failure. I also had to get rid of the fear of wanting to know I was acceptable in everybody's eyes. You know, that pure acceptance thing that, you know, people go through, well, if Will doesn't say it's okay, maybe I shouldn't do it. But Will doesn't have anything you want. Will works for a living. You want to work from home. Will makes $100,000 a year, great money, but you're trying to make $1 million. Will can't tell you how to do it, but you continually quit because the next Will gives you that look and goes, "You're doing what?" And the person goes, well, maybe I should. But they just invested $500 of their hard-earned money that they didn't have, that they borrowed, that they put together, that they saved, that they promised their family they wouldn't squander. They just put it down on something they believed would work. But Will came along, and if there's a Will in your audience, I'm not talking about you, Will. But, you know, because if there's a will, in my opinion, there's a way. And that's why I use the name Will. If there's a will, there's a way. Will isn't meant to disturb you and discourage you. Will is meant to encourage you. Where there's a will, there's a way. So what people should do is get passionate about overcoming the no's. So it was that fear of flying, that fear of rejection, the fear of no's. And then I didn't have fear of public speaking because I did public speaking in the military. But the other fear I had was the fear of tomorrow. And let me tell you what I'm talking about. The fear that tomorrow won't be the same as today. In other words, I had a good day. Will I have it tomorrow? I don't know. People go through that. You know what I'm saying? They go through that. So it's scary. It's that fear of the unknown. So I had all those when I first entered. But the more I stayed around people that believed in themselves, it would go, you know, I'm like, I don't know if I can really, you know, get 3 guests next week. Oh, man, come on, KC, sure, you did it tonight, right? And they would ask me questions that ended in continuous agreements of yes. You did it tonight, right? Well, yeah, I did. And it felt pretty good, right? And they start shaking, you know, continuous agreement. You see my training. Continuous agreements, they start shaking their head yes. And you start going, well, yeah, I did. It felt pretty good, right? Right. And everybody said you did a great job, right? Right. So you can do it next week, right? Right, right. Okay. Next thing you know, you talk yourself into doing it. So the fears go away. And those are the systems we teach people to understand, like continuous agreement is part of a system that if you don't know where it goes, it's not useful to you. But if you know how to use it, just like all the other parts of the system, it's very effective. So those were some of the fears I had to deal with.
Okay. So one of the things you mentioned was that you had a support group, basically, and your support group encouraged you. Mm-hmm. How important is it to have a support group?
Very important.
Cheerleaders.
Yeah, I mean, very important. If you're going to be a legend, if you're working on your legend, which means you're going to be legendary, which means people are going to follow you, you've got to follow someone now. You've got to follow a group of people now that can help you get past, like folks help me, get past all the naysayers and all the negative people and all the people that key got to be that long. And another thing, why is that black car got to be in front of me every time I come to this corner? In other words, but the guy in the black car is sitting there going, as soon as this light turns green, I'm gone. And that needs to be the outlook. So, you know, I think I answered the question. I don't want to talk too much.
That's okay. Now, I was looking at one of your videos. And I do have your training program, Ready, Set, Network. And you talked about that it's very important to be you. You say that, you know, in the industry, lots of people try to emulate others, but it's really important to be you, and then you build off of you. Can you explain that idea a bit for me?
Awesome. You know, I didn't know you were going to ask me that, but you know, I love to talk about the concept of building on the foundation of you. All of us come into the industry with the creator gives us talents, and sometimes people don't give themselves enough credit. They say, well, I can't speak in public. No, but you have organizational skills. Everybody doesn't have that. Well, I don't have organizational skills. No, you don't, but you have the ability to influence the masses to do the things you do because you're so likable, because people love you. People just, you know, you start laughing, people just start. You ever met somebody that they laugh and all of a sudden everybody in the room's laughing because they have the power of influence. They're influencers. So, you know, gosh, I'm so deep into the answer. Tell me the question one more time.
The idea of remaining you
right
at your core, but building off of you.
Okay, so here's what happens. We take the talents and skills you were given when you come in. We are the leadership, and we build on that. So what happens sometimes for some of the people that we end up not seeing anymore, they come in the industry and I just love Clara's story. Oh my goodness, I love her story. And I want to be just like Clara. So you start to try to become Clara, but that's not you because you don't have Clara's strengths. Your foundation's not hers. So what we do is we want to build on the foundation of you. And if you remember the story I told about Steve Smith, the wide receiver for the Baltimore Ravens, when he got traded to the Baltimore Ravens, his coach, John Harbaugh, asked him a question, you know, made a statement to him. And they were talking and he was asking questions about, you know, how he likes to do this and, you know, you're a great receiver. And he said, hey, he said, all I want you to know is be you because everybody else is taken. And that, you know, I'm sitting there watching Monday Night Football and I'm like, oh my goodness, that's our industry. That's what people mess up. They try to be everybody. So, you know, the inspiration comes even when you're watching Monday Night Football and the lights are going off and he's being interviewed and he said his coach told him that. And I'm like, that's what I need to know to tell my people. Be you because everybody else is taken. So if you become who you are, knowledge-wise, knowing your strengths, and then we start to build, you're so much farther ahead of the game rather than KC trying to be Margaret, Margaret trying to be KC, and I don't have your strengths and I'm trying to be you. I can't even build on that because I got to figure out how to do what you do first. Now when I'm trying to figure out how to do what you do, that might not be a strength for me. And if it's not a strength for me, that's where I was going before and I got kind of wrapped around the flagpole. But if it's not a strength for me, now I'm so busy trying to figure out how to do it, I'm no longer building on the foundation because I don't have foundation. I'm still busy trying to be you. So build on the foundation of you because everybody else is taken. And you're so good. And I'm talking to everybody tonight. You're so good, all of you.
How did you find your strength? And how would someone who is new, say they're entering the industry and maybe they think they don't have any strengths, how would they be able to find theirs?
Great, great, great question. Couple things. Number one, if they get into a system with a mentor, if they pick a mentor, if they pick somebody who's a success coach or a mentor, what needs to happen is what you're taught to do needs to be learned through repetition. Repetition exposes your weaknesses, but more importantly, exposes your strengths. Because if I start doing this thing you taught me, Margaret, every day, I'm going to figure out what part of that I'm good at, strength, and what part of that I need to get a little bit better at. Okay? So now I'm figuring out, oh, okay, I know the first part because I can do that. But what I got to figure out is when I'm exposing people and I'm going through the script, I got to get better at follow up. I'm good at the exposure. I'm good at the language. I'm real comfortable with it. That sounds like me, but I don't do follow up. Now I expose my strength. So when I sponsor somebody, when they say, you know, Margaret was sharing this system with me. Oh yeah, you need it. Because I believe, because I know I'm good at part of that system and I'm getting better at the rest. So not only does my foundation again, not only am I getting better at what I do, I'm also influencing the people that look at me and look up to me, who I bring in the industry. Make sense?
Makes sense. What were some things you had to get better at?
Other than humbling up, I had to get more humble. I did. I don't, it's crazy, but people come in the room and they're arrogantly broke. And
I know a few.
and it's nuts. I mean, you came in for an opportunity to make money, to leverage an opportunity, to find freedom, but you come in with a chip on your shoulder. You know that chip? If you watch Ready, Set, Network, you saw the size of that chip. You got that chip on your shoulder, and it's that chip. You don't mean to bring it here, but it's the culmination of everything that's happened to you in life. Everybody, like for me, I came in, when I left the military, I had a chip on my shoulder, but it was that good, motivating chip. I'll show the world. I already knew I had to buy in, learn this new business I just started, figure out what's the best way who's my best mentor, who I can follow to learn this thing. And I did quickly because I wanted what the leaders had. So, I had to get the chip off my shoulder. I had to, honestly, a lot of people don't know this about me, but I have a very short attention span. And when I was in school, when I was younger, it affected my learning curve. And educators know what I'm talking about. I learned more visually. I was very visually motivated, and I was not motivated to read because reading was boring. It's not to me anymore. Okay, you know how much I read now. It's not to me anymore, but reading was boring. So I had to really get out of my own way and really slow it down and start to smell the roses along the way. Start to, really realize that I'm going to have to learn how to do some things that don't just entertain me, but make me better. So I had a learning curve, and that was, I hate to say a weakness, but it became one because it became a crutch for me for a while. I would make excuses. Hey, Casey, you need to read Think and Grow Rich. I'm going to go ahead and get the audio, but you need to get the book. The audio is not the same. If you get the book, you can highlight the book. Books, the audio, I'll be done in a day or two, or I'll get the crib notes. There are no crib notes to Think and Grow Rich. No, there are. I found some, so I really had to get those things out of the way. And the last thing was, I really had to learn once I became successful that people really do live and breathe on your every word. I had to learn the importance of that. And that hit me at a convention. I was with someone and it affected them more than it affected me, but the impact affected me too, where we stood there and literally realized, wow, these people, it was when we became six-figure income earners, and we were talking, and we realized that these people really do live and move on what we say is real. So we gotta be honest. We gotta have integrity. We gotta walk what we talk. And that's when it really hit me. So I had to learn how to really be a leader. And it takes, you have to learn how to be a leader. It's not easy. You got to learn, because the same skills that it took for you to become a leader are not the same skills that it takes for you to lead and create other leaders. But some of the things you do, you got to do more of, but then you got to learn how to translate that into sharing with the masses. So it's a different skill set. I had to learn that.
Wow. So that's your big R right there. The higher up you went, the more responsible you became.
Most definitely.
So Casey, I would like you to tell me about what do you think is the most important quality someone needs to have when they start network marketing?
I don't think it's one. I think it's a couple. I think that honesty is underrated, underappreciated, and under-advertised. I think in these days where we're very, very low touch, high tech, we don't talk about honesty. We don't talk about, and honesty includes a lot of things. Follow-up is part of honesty. I brought you into business. I sponsored you. I honestly need to follow up and make sure I don't leave you. I'm not trying to get you to bring people in so I can find out who you know so I can start making money from them. No, I'm bringing you in because honestly, I want to see you do well. Honesty and integrity go hand in hand. I think the consistency is way underrated, way underutilized, way underdeveloped, and not talked about enough. Consistency. I think Once you become the model, you got to consistently do good things to maintain being the model. I think that once you learn what to do, you got to consistently look at how you can continue to do them even better the next time. I think consistency means so much in this industry of time and income freedom. So you got honesty, integrity, consistency, and there are a few more, but I'm big on people. I'm a people guy. So being a people guy, I care what happens to people. Like I said, money's a byproduct of all that, okay? I can't get people back. That's why I say I take those folks that are no longer here that had all that talent, I take that to bed with me. But, money comes and sometimes it goes, but you do have the ability to do it again.
What does it take to win in this game?
Ooh, man, that's a loaded question.
The quick and dirty version.
Okay, Reader's Digest version as we start moving through this interview. For one thing, you got to be fortunate, which means that you may not hit it your first, second, third, or fourth time in the industry. The average person doesn't hit success in six figures their first or second time. If you've hit success in 6 and 7 figures your first, second time, you are so fortunate. But the average person, it takes 2 or 3 shots at this thing to figure it out, where they fit in and how to do it. So to win, first of all, you got to have longevity. You got to stick and stay till you get your pay. You got to have longevity. Number 2, if you have longevity, you will see the difference in real leadership and that pseudo leadership. People that walk the walk and people that just talk, okay? People that just complain, professional complainers. So you got to get through that. And one other thing I think it takes to be a winner, you got to be willing to fall on your sword every now and then. You got to be willing to go through the bumps, the bruises, the cuts. You can't have baby butt skin when everything goes wrong. You got to develop rhino skin. You got to be willing sometime to be that person that messed it up. I've messed things up. and I'll mess things up again. I'll get it wrong, but that's on the way to getting it really right. So you can't have that false persona that you're the leader without being willing to be the best follower. The best leaders were the best followers. That's how you win. Become the best follower. Grow your persona. Stick and stay. Have longevity. Be honest and be willing to be honest enough when things don't go right and it's because of you. But don't stick in it. Don't stay in it. Just, hey, that's my bad. I didn't realize. I'll get it better next time. Hey, guys, where do we go from here? And you step up and you move up.
Okay. What is the biggest change that you've seen in the industry to date?
Oh, man, without a doubt, it's the internet. The internet has made a huge difference. When I first came in the industry, if somebody brought in and enrolled personally 20 people in a month, whoo, you came to the next meeting, you were like, how'd you do that? Because it was belly button to belly button. We didn't have, FaceTime. We didn't have Twitter. We didn't have Pinterest. We didn't have Tumblr. We didn't have Facebook. We didn't have none of this stuff. You had to make it happen or know somebody that could make it happen. The advent of the internet and the impact it's had on this industry has been awe-inspiring. Somebody could sponsor 20 people in an hour and a half.
Wow.
Because the internet obviously allows you to leverage time and space. For instance, what we're doing tonight. This is going to be on YouTube, and people will be able to see this. Send somebody a text. Hey, you need to see Margaret Wiltshire. You need to see her. She's incredible. And so they said, really? Well, how do I see it? Let me send you the link. And then somebody said, oh, she's incredible. And they send 3 other people, oh, she's incredible. Send 3, because I think you're incredible. And believe me, I send people your information. So, and there's so many people on the night that think you're incredible because that's why they're on. So next week when you have your event, there are going to even be more people who told more people. That's leverage. Back in the day, Ma Bell. Dial, smile and dial, we used to call it. Hi, how you doing? And we have to call people. So it was different.
So tell me a little bit about social media and the industry and how, I don't know, do you have some tips on leveraging, social media?
I think that everyone should be a little bit of both. I think to leverage the industry correctly, you can't forget people, which is belly button to belly button. Me sitting down with you at Starbucks, or me sitting down with you at Barnes and Nobles, or me sitting down with you in the house and saying, hey, look, I'm so excited about this business opportunity I was just exposed to. And that's another thing, you got to have your elevator speech down too. Okay, so I'm not looking at any script. I'm just shooting from the hip based on what I learned over the years. And I'm so excited about this business that I was exposed to, and I've got to share it with you. Let me ask you a question. Do you have 5 minutes? And in this environment, 5 minutes, because I want to share the URL, the link. I want to, maybe even hand you a DVD. We still do a lot of that too. But just the fact that I saw you in the elevator and I was willing to talk to you is the belly button to belly button. Now I'm leveraging you. Are you smiling and you're shaking your head? Yes. The leveraging comes in when I hand the tool, the DVD or the URL to my prospect, who takes the URL and goes online, and instantly the World Wide Web is their living room, and the screen is their TV. And now all of a sudden they watch, or maybe they say, hey, John, I'm gonna send you this link. I want you to watch with me. And now 2 or 3 people are watching. So belly button to belly button, personal touch, and then we utilize the internet, which is the high tech. So high touch and high tech is true leverage. If you're doing only one, the bottom line is that sometimes I talk to internet networkers who network on the internet, who believe in social media, and they say, well, I don't really have to talk to anybody. Yes, you do, because if you bring me in over the internet, I may not be able to launch, the sites, and I may not have a webmaster. I may not be able to afford that. But I put all my money together to get in your business, but I want to know how I can be successful. For me, it may be belly button to belly button until I can afford to get some of the tools to get launched on the World Wide Web, the internet. Do we even call it the World Wide Web anymore? Am I showing my age?
You can still call it that.
Okay.
People know what you're talking about.
I hope so.
They do. So tell me, here's a question. How do you pick a good mentor? What if your upline sucks, and you just feel that you're not getting what you need, or maybe you don't like what they're saying. Maybe what they're saying is not appealing to you. How do you find a good mentor, and how do you work around not having a good upline? 2 questions there.
That is such a good question. Number one, let's talk about the work around to be a good sponsor. Here's the deal. All sponsors that rub you wrong are not bad sponsors. But a sponsor who rubs you wrong could absolutely stop your success story because they're not appealing to you. So you could have a great sponsor who knows the industry like the back of their hand. Hint, hint, clue, clue for the sponsors and the folks in the industry that are mid-level management positions and striving to get to 6 figures and 7 figures. You could be the greatest at what you do, but if you don't appeal to me, what difference does it make? It's just, wasted days, wasted nights. So what the sponsor wants to do is make sure that when they do the game plan interview, once again, even if I bring you in social media, I still want to talk to you to find out what it is. Why are you here? Okay, what is your why? You can't find out my why by just clicking buttons all day. You got to talk to me. You got to find out what's going to keep me in the game, because I'm a doorway to 1,000 people you don't know. And one of those 1,000 people could change both of our lives. So number one, if you're the sponsor, you want to make sure that you do a game plan interview to get better, and so that your prospect or your new enrollee doesn't get bitter. You don't want to make people bitter. You want them to get better. And you do that with the game plan interview to find out what is their why, what drives them, what absolutely is the thing that when they get up in the morning, what motivates them to have more, be more, do more, and stay in the game. You only can do that if you talk to their why, talk to their spirit. Okay, that's number one. Number two, to have a good sponsor, there's a lot of things that you're looking for. A good mentor, a lot of things. Like, I consider myself an excellent mentor, but I can't mentor everybody because I don't appeal to everybody. So look for somebody that has a couple of traits. Number one, that appeals to you. You're comfortable with them. Don't play the game. If you really don't like someone and they're in your organizational structure, your upline, or even they're the leader in your local area, If you don't like this person because of something you saw them do, because, you know, success leaves clues, but so does rubbing people wrong leave clues. So something they do that you don't like, you don't have to work with them. Pick your sponsor like you pick your shoes. You get a good, comfortable pair. You don't go out and get the roughest, toughest shoes just because they're, I hope you don't, just because they're fashionable. You get some shoes that feel good. When you walk in them, listen to me, everybody, when you take that journey, because we're on a journey, when you take that journey, every step of the way is comfortable so you can hear the message. So mirror match, pick people that you like, pick people that have things in common with you. Number two, pick people that have what you want or they're working for what you want. Don't saddle up with KC Towns if you want to make 8 figures. I've never made 8 figures. Margaret talked to me about 7 figures. I can't talk to you about 8 figures. I've never made that. I aspire to make that. So what you need to do is get with someone that's made 8 figures if that's your goal. So you need to pick that person wisely because they have the story that you desire.
Okay. So, tell me about Ready, Set, Network.
One of my greatest passions in life was to create Ready, Set, Network. And I've done a lot of trainings. I put together a lot of trainings. I put together a lot of training programs and systems for companies and individuals. And I'm telling you, it's one of my greatest passions in life was to share with the average person. It's a 5-video series. And right now we've got a big special going on. We're giving you the 5-video series, an 18-page PDF workbook that goes with it. Enrollment in our mentorship organizational group through kctowns.com, and also the full audio CD series. So we're giving you the tools to success. But Ready, Set, Network was designed that the average person can come in who does not have a clue how to build a firm foundation. So here's the thing. You want to build a firm foundation. What takes the longest time when they build a building? Foundation. But if there's a hurricane or a tornado, what's the one part of the building that stands strong even when the rest of the building goes? Foundation. So it means everything to build the right foundation first. So Ready, Set, Network was simply put together as a compilation of 25 years of training and just good stuff that I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars to learn and traveled all over the country following the masters. And instead of having someone spend that kind of money, we bring it all to them in one set where they can sit down and learn everything from, you know, I start off by telling my story. Okay. And I just happen to have one right here. I just happen to have one. So I start off by telling my story. And of course it's in digital download. I have the DVD right here, and after I tell my story and, you know, we introduce you to Ready, Set, Network on the first video, then we turn around and talk to you about when you're looking to build an organization. We talk to you about the difference between who you're looking for when you're building your organization and who you're looking for when you're marketing your service and selling products. People don't understand. Matter of fact, you and I had a great conversation last week about understanding the difference. And when you watched the series, you were like, oh man, and now I know there's a difference in the 2 groups. I've been thinking one group, and it's not. So you got to know who to look for when you're building your business and who to look for when you're marketing your products and why. The different characteristics and caricature traits. Caricature traits, okay? They're traits, okay? My lip is stuck, but you got to know the difference. Because if you know those things, you know what to look for, you'll know exactly who goes on what list. And you realize I got more of these people than I thought I had. Then we go into creating a success story. Then we go into how to share the success story. It's one thing to create success, but if you don't know how to share the story, it's not going to be beneficial. So we talk about how to share the story, and then we talk about time management and winning. So it's a great, great series. It's been my passion, and so many great leaders have told me they've enjoyed it. By the way, you can go to kctowns.com, kctowns.com, and you can absolutely click on, there's a free training, Investment in Success. There's a free training, and in that training, we'll give you a link to get the very, very, very special price and all of the other things we talked about. It's not going to be there forever. It's there right now.
I actually have the pop-up. There's a pop-up in the side in the chat room there that has an access. You know, you click the link and it takes you directly to the site. But just for YouTube, when it's on YouTube, they won't be able to see this. And it's KCTOWNES towns.com. So kctowns.com.
Thank you.
So KC, tell me, for you, I'll just ask a question. What has been the greatest part of this whole journey for you?
The freedom. The freedom. Of course, when I showed myself I could do it in the very beginning, after being stepping down and put in that position as I left the military, I mean, it wasn't just doing it. It was the freedoms I attained, the people I've met. I met some incredible people. But I happen to think that my greatest triumphs are still in front of me. I really do. With Ready, Set, Network and what we're getting ready to introduce, which is the second step after you build a foundation, what to do next. I won't give it away. We're going to be coming out with that series in about a month and a half now. I've met some incredible leaders, some incredible mentors, success coaches, and some incredible people who've asked to be mentored and coached. So I think for me, the most rewarding thing and the most gratifying thing and the biggest part of the success story, I don't know if I've gotten to it yet. It's just been an incredible ride. It really has. I can't look back, and I just got to be thankful for everything I've had.
Okay. How does one pick a company?
Now that is a great question. You got to do your homework. You don't want to, sometimes people get in the company because my cousin's doing it. And I'm not saying don't do it with your cousin. I'm saying that's a good thing because you're supporting the family. Great thing. Okay. I don't want to get it messed up. Great thing. But what if your cousin's doing something that you really don't want to do? And you owe them a favor. I mean, I'd rather just do you a favor than start a business that I don't really want to do. Number one, I'm wasting time and money. And number two, I'm never really going to help my cousin grow. And I use this analogy. I did a webinar I think it was last night or last week. And I talked about, influence. And I talked about, I'm your best friend. And I'm always going to be your best friend. But you need somebody to help you build your business. And you want me to come on board, but you make cheese. And I don't know nothing about making cheese. The only thing I know about cheese is how to eat it and how to buy it. I don't know anything about making it. But you need my help to get better. You need my help to get better so that you can grow up and go up. But you can't grow up or go up with me, even though I invested my money to join your company because you're my friend and I'm your friend and we're going to be best friends anyway. I'd rather purchase the cheese that I like to buy from you and support your company that way than become part of your company, knowing I can't help you, don't want to ever make cheese, and it doesn't appeal to me. So the cardinal rule is do something you want to do. Do something you like to do or you're inspired to do.
Okay. And tell me, what's down the line for you 5 years from now?
Sky's the limit. I mean, if everything goes the way I'd like it to go, I hope to have a hand in creating at least 25 people who are earning 7 figures and above yearly. I hope to influence tens of thousands of people to earn between $30,000 and $80,000 part and spare time from home, which is freedom. And I hope that, I'm able to reach back and help people I care about that I know right now might be struggling.
Okay. That was honest and very specific. So now I am going to ask you some fun questions.
Okay.
I mean, all these questions were fun questions. I've actually learned a lot just from talking with you so far.
Okay.
So tell me, KC, what is your favorite app?
Honestly.
Honestly.
Well, now apps to me are like when I'm relaxing. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Since I'm addicted to the series Power, stars. I can't live without the Stars app because I love the series Power, and
Okay.
I'm addicted to it, man. I watch every episode, and I really like the series Power. But I like the Stars app. But in all honesty, I like Evernote. I like the ability to speak and have my words be typed while I'm speaking. That is also, I'm a baby boomer, so I'm not from a generation that we had that. So every time I see it, I'm like still in awe of it. I'm like, it's typing my words. So of course, silly me, I'm saying that, and it's typing.
Typing.
So when I want to do the manuscript, I'm like, what did I put? And oh man. So Evernote is one. I like Pages because I'm a Mac guy.
Okay.
I like Pages, but I also like Word too. But I like Pages. I just have a few apps I like. I mean, but mostly they're either for work or like for play with Stars. Okay. I'm also a football guy, so I like NFL Sunday Ticket app.
Okay. Are you in a football fantasy pool?
I was talking to my youngest son about that a while back, and I have no clue what football fantasy means. To me, those were two different things. Like I have fantasy and I have football. And he's like, yo, Dad, come on. I got in the pool. Honestly, I got put in the pool by a buddy of mine, Jay, about 3 years ago. And I put it on auto pick. And he started saying, man, you're doing good. And I'm like, yeah, but I didn't know how to do it. So when the auto pick started picking bad stuff, which I had no idea what that means, he was like, come on, man, you need to change your picks. Come on, you got that guy's hurt. I'm like, yeah, but I had no clue what I was talking about. So fantasy football, I respect it, but I don't know how to really do it right.
Okay, that's funny. That's really funny. What book has impacted you the most?
Brendan Bouchard has a book, The Millionaire
Messenger.
Incredible book about being able to market yourself. It really speaks to the heart of just not just to monetize who you are and what you do. It really speaks to the heart of having confidence in what you do. And even if you have that belief, he takes your belief to another level. So Millionaire Messenger's one. I mean, the traditional ones, the 360 degrees of influence by John C. Maxwell, of leadership, rather, how to lead from 380 degrees of leadership, how to lead from any position in the organization, whether you're mid-level, whether you're at the top, whether you're new. It talks about leadership at every level. That's an incredible one. 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership I'm still geeked on that. I always talk about the law of the lid because the lid is just so important. The law of the lid is just so important. It talks about your organization can't go past the skill set of the person who has the most skills and or most intelligence or most abilities, depending on what your group is all about. So I have some favorite. Dr. John C. Maxwell is one of my favorite authors. Like him a lot. And of course, How to Win Friends and Influence People. 48 Laws of Power is another one. Green is the author. That taught me a lot about people and little things you can do to influence people. Has a lot to do with influence. 48 Laws of Power by Green. I forgot the first name. Green is the author. I haven't read it in about 2 years, but
I think it's Robert Greene.
Robert Greene.
Did you read the one he did with 50 Cent?
You know what? It's sitting in my house. I still have to read it, and I haven't had a chance because I've been working on my project. But I heard it's a very good book. You've read it?
No, I haven't. My son has it.
Okay, I want to get that.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, actually, I have it, but I need to get it out of my room, is what I should say. And it's on the shelf. I need to get it off the shelf in my room and put it on my calendar to read.
Okay. What is your favorite pastime besides watching Power and football?
I like movies. I'm a movie guy. I don't get to see them very often. I like to power walk. Power walk is my thing. I dig power walking. I have a very significant birthday coming up next year, so I'm trying to stay on the planet as long as I can. You know, a lot of my story. I'm blessed. I still have my mother and my father. My mother is 87, incredible years young, so vibrant and just an incredible person. And my father, unfortunately, has Alzheimer's at 88, and a lot of people know these. He lived with me for 8 years with dementia, and he just really came down with Alzheimer's. So we're dealing with that, but I'm blessed and I'm fortunate to have him in my life. And his older brother's 101.
Wow.
And he's still vibrant. I mean, he stopped driving because he lost most of his hearing, but it's not because he's not coherent, he's sharp as a tack. So I like to power walk. I like to work out. I want to keep a youthful persona. So I like to read still. I like to research. Those things to me are relaxing.
Hey, did you know power walking is an Olympic sport now?
I didn't know, but I won't be entering. Not have to worry about me.
Oh, I'm sure you do pretty well.
I'll do something.
Okay. So, as it is tradition here on Lifestyle by Design, not Default,
Yes.
I would like you to give our guest or anyone, not just people who are on now, but anyone who views this video, 3 tips or 3 action steps, 3 action steps that they can implement in their life right now to start either living their dreams. Maybe it might be someone who's considered network marketing, but they want to live their dreams and they want to be successful.
Right. I think the first thing is to spend some time and figure out what you want to do. I'm at a crossroads now. My children are all grown. And my grandchild, I even have a grandchild who's 22. And I have another
Wow.
child, my other granddaughter will be 21. And I have 5 of the grandchildren. So it's important as we get older, even if it's 30, even if it's 40, even if it's 50, it's important as we get older that we kind of find our beach. You know, they used to have that beer commercial used to about find your beach. You got to find your beach. Find that place that you want to just kind of plant your flag and say, this is kind of what I want to do. So figure out what your passion is. Number 2, okay? Don't let anyone, no one come between you and your passion. Be passionate about being successful in your passion. Don't let the why nots overtake your why. Let your why fuel your whole thing. And I'm serious about that. So find out what you want to do. Find your beach. Find out what you want to do. Be passionate about making it a reality. Don't let anybody get in the way. And then the third thing is make sure that you share your success with people that you care about. I remember in the movie Mahogany, Diana Ross told Billy D. Williams that success is nothing without people you can share it with. Success is not a one-person game. There's always someone that helped you, even if not directly, indirectly. And there's always someone you can go back and help sharing your success. So I think if you do those 3 things, life, as you know, it'll be very fulfilling, very gratifying, and I think it'll be very enjoyable. I hope I didn't lose you.
No, it froze up a little bit, so I didn't hear the last part of what you said.
Okay, I just basically said life will be very enjoyable, fulfilling, and gratifying.
Okay. Well, this brings us to the end of tonight's show. KC, I want to thank you so much for your time. I want to thank you for sharing your years of wisdom here tonight with not just me, but everyone who will view this. And I thank you for your time. Thank you so much. Woo!
I appreciate you back. And I absolutely enjoyed meeting you at the Brenda Burchard event. And we're going to be high performance achievers. So take care. Have a great evening.
That's right. Woo! Bring the joy.
No doubt.
Good night, everyone.
Take care.